Hi guys, welcome back to DKTV. I'm Geoff Ulrich, or Wave Goodbye as I'm known on DraftKings. And today we're doing our NHL preview show for the first round of the playoffs, which in my opinion is the best time to be a hockey fan. I'm joined today by Pete Jensen of NHL.com, NHL analyst. And first off, I'll start by asking Pete, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Geoff. Appreciate you guys having me on, and look forward to talking about some of the most unpredictable, hockey that we've seen in a while, and just some crazy parity going on in the NHL right now, because you got teams that can be eliminated in the first round, or come out of their own conference. So it's been very exciting, nerve-wracking for the fans for sure. I know a lot of those overtime games, people are losing their hair over those games.
Yeah, there was a good one last night too between the Hawks and the Preds. So definitely good time to be a hockey fan. Right now on DraftKings, there's I should also mention there's a 50K showcase NHL tournament going on. It's a qualifying tournament, so 10 teams qualify, 15K to first place. So next qualifier actually goes on tomorrow, April 23rd. Still time to qualify for that. It's a great tournament to play on in the NHL playoffs, in my opinion. Great daily fantasy tournament. Definitely something you want to check out. And today we're going to be discussing a little bit of playoff strategy. So let's get to it. Let's dive into it. Pete, why don't you give me your thoughts so far on the playoffs, and just what's the best storyline been for you so far?
I mean, there have been a lot of big surprises. I think none bigger than the Calgary Flames right now. I think just what they've been able to do without one of the most valuable players to his particular team in the league, Mark Giordano, great possession player last season, and was among the Norris Trophy candidates before he went down with a season-ending injury. And just how that team's blue line has stepped up and enabled the Flames to ride their home crowd after stealing one in Vancouver and opening up a 3-1 series lead against the Canucks. I think it's just been really impressive to see guys who have been big surprises over the course of the season. Not many people expected Johnny Gaudreau to be a rookie candidate. Not many people expected a Chris Russell and a Dennis Wideman to carry the load in the fashion that they have and keep this team afloat to even make, let alone advancing in the first round, which they're on track to do. So yeah, just the Flames and just the general unpredictability of the sport at this stage, and how teams, could be in deep water like the Tampa Bay Lightning, even who looked like one of the strongest teams entering the postseason. Right now, they're in danger of falling into a 3-1 series hole in Game 4. So just crazy unpredictability, very exciting brand of hockey. And I look forward to more of it in the coming days.
Yeah, I mean, I think you really hit the nail on the head there with Calgary, and they've just been kind of a huge surprise the whole season. I know I live in Edmonton, so watching them, I get pretty envious. But they've been a great surprise, and Detroit as well. Detroit beating Tampa Bay would be a pretty big shock. So that's another series I'm keeping my eye on. So let's talk strategy a bit. Pete, for you, what is one sort of single tip that you would give someone when drafting sort of a DraftKings playoff lineup that they could use to sort of differentiate their team, or just sort of give them an advantage maybe over their competitors?
Yeah, I mean, I like the strategy of looking at line mates and looking at some of the trends from game to game, because as we've seen so often in the playoffs, when things start to go wrong, teams react differently and they switch up their lines. You look at a patient team like the Minnesota Wild. They've stuck with Mikael Granlund next to Jason Pominville and Zach Parise. And I think Granlund is having an outstanding postseason for the second straight year, even better than last year. And he's sticking on that top line. So if you're going with a Parise or you're going with a Pominville, offset the cost a little bit by picking up a Granlund. Same thing works for the Capitals right now. If they go back to Kuznetsov playing with Ovechkin, say if they lose Game 5, you could use that to offset one of the most expensive players in the game. Same thing goes for Backstrom. If you want Backstrom, and you get Joel Ward and offset the price. So I think keeping an eye on line mates, just because of the daily trends and the general importance of these games could be key. And like another example is the Islanders. They're getting Mikhail Grabovski back. I mean, if he ends up playing with a Ryan Strome or a Brock Nelson or Anders Lee, I mean, you could really double up and do some damage there. So definitely keep an eye on the line make trends and take full advantage in DraftKings because the salaries can work out really nice.
Yeah, no, I think those are great points. A couple other things I'd just add is, keep an eye on injury reports. Guys get injured all the time in the playoffs. Late scratches can happen too, and player usage can go up as a result. So a good example might be Nick Leddy and the New York Islanders. Their defense core has been a bit banged up. He's been getting a little bit more power play time. So definitely good points there. As far as studs go, who are some stud players, some high-priced players, some sort of star players that you think a DraftKings player might be worth, a DraftKings fantasy player would be well advised to sort of shell out for? Who are some guys in the playoffs that you might be sort of keen on in the near future here?
I mean, one guy I think on any given night in the crease is a very just a difference maker right now and has an ability to go out every night and win home or away, regardless of the opponent, is Devan Dubnyk for the Wild. The Wild have been one of the best road teams in the league for the past 2 months of the season. Raucous environment, XL Energy Center, great defense in front of him. He's not always facing a huge volume of shots on any given night, but has a great chance at a shutout. Every time out, great chance at a win, and that's where you get to the top of the leaderboard. I mean, we see what Scott Darling did yesterday. Got 11 points for fantasy owners in DraftKings. I mean, that's pretty much everybody at the top of the leaderboard had Scott Darling. So Scott Darling is much less of a sure thing, I think, at this point, just with a Stanley Cup winning goalie and Corey Crawford behind him. But Devan Dubnyk has really caught my eye, and it seems to be worth the price of admission. You look at Roman Josi for the Predators, his ability to put up points, in the $6,000 to $7,000 range, even when he's not scoring. I mean, he's putting up. He has 20 plus block shots, 20 plus shots on goal here through 4 games in the first round. So. If he starts to pick things up scoring-wise, he could make a big difference for your team for as long as the Predators remain alive against the Blackhawks. I think just those are a couple of guys. Obviously, what's going on with Washington, I think the Capitals, their power play has not nearly clicked to the ability as it did in the regular season. So guys like Backstrom and Ovechkin, if the power play picks it up a notch, could finish off the Islanders and make a very deep run in this thing. So those are guys that continue to be safe bets on any given night in DC.
Yeah, I mean, I think you really hit on a good point there with paying up for the goalies on DraftKings too. One thing to note is that a win on DraftKings gets you 3 points for a goalie. So goalie's always important on DraftKings. Scott Darling, Devan Dubnyk, like you said, been playing great. I think those are 2 stud goalies that you can continue to pay up for. A couple other guys I might mention, Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaf. Always good fantasy producers, and Anaheim looks like they're really rolling right now. So definitely a couple guys I will be keying on as the playoffs progress. As far as sleepers go, too, some lower priced, lower owned guys. Who are some players that the average fantasy player might not be that familiar with, but that might be good keying on a little bit lower salary, and that might be good for rounding out a roster. Who are some players you're sort of keen on for sleepers there, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, I think with so many great forwards out there, sometimes you're getting scraps on defense. You're trying to patch up your defense and round out your lineup. I think what Dan Girardi has done of late for the Rangers has been really impressive. I mean, his performance in Game 3 with 6 block shots, a bunch of hits, and 2 assists. I mean, he logs a ton of ice time. The Rangers block a ton of shots and have been frustrating the Penguins over the course of the series. I think he's a guy who you could get for a much more manageable rate and can come through for you with the block shots at the very least on any given night. Justin Abdelkader for the Red Wings, he's back from injury. He's playing in the top 6. He had an assist yesterday. He's blocked shots over the course of the season. His salary is real low right now, in the high $3,000 to low $4,000 range. You look at some of the defensemen in Nashville beyond Roman Josi, who I mentioned earlier. Ryan Ellis and Seth Jones have been blocking shots like crazy. They're also getting on the score sheet now that Shea Weber is temporarily out of the lineup due to injury. And then another guy, I think, from the New York Islanders is Cal Clutterbuck. I mean, that guy's been chipping in goals. The Islanders' fourth line, you can make the argument, has been their best line in the playoffs thus far, with Cizikas and Matt Martin. And Cal Clutterbuck yesterday looked like the best player on the ice for a good portion of that game. He blocks shots, he gets shots on goal, and chips in points. So those are guys that, in Clutterbuck's case, is going to be really cheap, $2,000-$3,000, and you could slot him in on the wing and get some nice production and be able to round out your lineup with more sure things. I think that's the key. If you can roll out a third or fourth liner that someone in your competition group doesn't necessarily choose, then you can get that leg up on them by also choosing the stars that'll get you near the top of the leaderboard. Yeah,
I mean, Clutterbuck definitely cheap player. That's a really good target. A really good name you brought up. I definitely also like targeting the guys in Detroit, Justin Abdelkader and Thomas Tatar, both playing on the top 2 lines. Both get to play with Datsuk and Zetterberg. So, really good, less expensive players that are going to have some really good line mates to play with there. One other name I'll throw out, Nestorov, the D-man in Tampa, been getting a lot of power play time. Maybe not as well known a player. So let's wrap things up here. Who, Pete, in your mind, who do you think are going to kind of clean up these series in the first round here, and mainly who do you think is going to win the cup this year? Who do you see coming out of the West, and who do you see coming out of the East?
I mean, I definitely like Minnesota to close out the Blue. They're just a more complete team, and they made a nice run last year. They look like they're twice as good, twice as strong on the back end this year. I mean, I like the Hawks to finish off the Predators. What a grueling series, emotionally draining series that's been for Nashville. I think Anaheim is, they might drop a game or two, but they'll ultimately close out the Jets. And then the Flames are looking good right now. I like what they're doing. Montreal has just, same thing as Nashville, just emotionally taken Ottawa out of the picture with their 1-goal victories. I do expect Tampa Bay to rebound and ultimately take that series. I think the Rangers just have too much and are able to dictate their game, to knock off the frustrated Penguins and depleted on the back end in Pittsburgh. And then I think the Capitals will knock off the Islanders ultimately. I think it's just a more well-rounded team right now in Washington, and they did what they needed to do yesterday to eke out that game and put the Islanders on the ropes a little bit, going back home for 2 of the next 3. I think it'll be Tampa Bay against Chicago in the Cup final, although I will say that 2 dark horses are definitely the Minnesota Wild, and I think the Washington Capitals if they emerge. I think the Wild are the only team in the West that could really knock off Chicago right now. But then again, I mean, Chicago, just even how they lost last year, it was almost unbelievable to see the Kings get that done in their building, in a crazy finish. They're not going to have to deal with the Kings this year. Nobody has as much experience in the postseason than the Chicago Blackhawks. So I do ultimately believe they will prevail when it's all said and done. Just too strong in the top 9 forwards, too strong defensively. And as long as they could weather the storm with the goaltending, whether it's Scott Darling taking it from here or Corey Crawford filling back in when the time comes, I think they're the most equipped to win it all in 2015 right now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on Chicago. I really like their chances coming out of the West. I think they've looked really good of late. Looks like they're going to take out the Predators. Definitely think the Wild could get in there as well, maybe make it to the conference final. Out of the East, my preference is going to be the Rangers. I think they're just a little bit too deep. Kind of have them as my pick to win the Cup. Maybe that's a little bit too easy since they made it there last year, but I'm sticking with the easy choice. So that's who I like, Chicago and New York. And yeah, we'll see what happens. It's definitely an exciting time to be watching hockey right now. So I'd like to thank my guests, thank Pete Jensen, NHL.com for showing up, and just remind viewers that the 50K showcase is going on right now on DraftKings, and there's still time to qualify. The next qualifier is April 23rd. 15 grand to the winner, $1,000 to all qualifiers. So make sure you check that out. It's in the lobby right now. The qualifiers are, and you can also make sure you subscribe to DKTV and keep following us. You can always check out our next preview show. We're always breaking down the content for DraftKings players, so keep checking us out, and thanks for tuning in, guys.